Tell me a little bit about your background and your role.
Sure. Currently serving as the VP of Customer Operations for Public Service Electric and Gas. Been with PSEG for 30 years. Started in the gas department, as an engineer. Spent quite a bit of time in gas and both on the delivery side, working in the field operations and also on our appliance service business. Then I kind of transitioned over to some of our governmental affairs work and spent a number of years in external affairs. Interesting time actually because I was there during deregulation in New Jersey, both on the gas side and the electric side. So that offered a wonderful opportunity to learn an aspect of the business, which quite frankly up to that point I wasn't too familiar with. And then over time I found myself back in the field in what we call our large customer support area. Supporting our largest and most critical customers, within our service territory. And that brought me into customer operations, where I've held a number of positions, and of course today serving as VP of Customer Operations.
What changes are you seeing with your customers?
Well, it's really interesting, and the fact, as you say, the evolution of our customer. I think the greatest and most interesting evolution is coming to the realization that we have customers. I can recall when I first started at PSEG, everyone talked about how many meters. And even today, the 3.9 meters that we have, within our service territory, we know they're critically important, and it's critically important that we get it right, but we got to go a little bit further. So then over the years, we start talking about ratepayers. And we start talking about number of bills that we get out, and even customers. And at PSEG, I know it's very important that we get those 2.5 million bills out right, and that's important, and number of customers is important. The 1.8 million gas customers, the 2.2 million electric customers, that's all great, but we got to go a little bit further because it's more than just customers. And I think now we're coming to the realization that we got to talk about the consumer. And when you talk about PSEG, it's not just the person who's receiving the bill. It's not that 1.8 million gas, 2.2 million electric. It's the 6 million people who in one way or another benefit or consumers, the products and services that we provide. And understanding it and having appreciation for the consumer really sets the stage to move us into a whole new realm. Not looking at just the person receiving the bill, but looking at not only those who consume our products and services, but also understanding that we have to move them from consumer to a new term, consumer advocate or pro-consumer, folks who will really advocate on behalf of the company and will be there to support us as the industry continues to go through some rather rapid changes in the years and decade to come.
What are the key initiatives?
Well, for us, a big part of it, and we talked about this at the CSW conference this past week, is voice of the customer. It's critically important that we learn to listen and to take the key points, the key concerns, the key drivers that our customers are communicating to us in many ways. And I'll give you a couple examples. We know through our traditional forms of interaction, we have the call center, we have our walk-in centers. We know that right now the trend is, well, PSEG, I want you to talk to me in other ways. I want you to engage me on social media. So we have to understand, how to do that. So obviously, a big part of our current initiatives is focusing in the social media realm and the digital media realm and trying to get that right. It all starts, everyone talks about their web portal, but it's going to quickly go beyond that. And you've seen certainly over the years, PSEG implement a bunch of wonderful new technologies, trying to respond to this voice of the customer. PSEG, I want you to interact with me in different ways, but that's going to be an ongoing challenge for us, and as I think for most folks in the industry.
Talk about process.
Well, there's a lot of talk, certainly customer experience. It's a terminology that we're using, in the utility industry quite a bit over the past, 5 to 10 years. And what it really means to me is we have to really start understanding better the journey that our customers go through when they engage us. Journey mapping, not just the terminology, not just the exercise of sitting down and talking about customer touch points, but really starting to look at things from the perspective of the customer. Utilities historically, traditionally, and rightfully so, have been very operations driven. We all have our scorecards, we all have our key metrics, and they're very operations focused. We have to keep that. We cannot lose that. It's essential that we keep that, but what we have to add to that is, again, those customer touch points, and that requires a different type of listening by our associates. So that means a different skill set. You know, it's no longer enough for me to go to my call center and talk about, my service levels or my abandonment rates. I now got to talk about call quality. I got to talk about the feedback I get from customers as to how well the call went. I got to talk about, first call resolution. I got to talk about ownership and accountability, on the part of my CSRs, to ensure that that folks understand that every interaction is so critically important to our success as a business, and that's just really transforming the way that we're looking at the customer experience within the utility. It's something we're really not accustomed to. It's not the aggregate, it's really the segment of one. It's the individual customer, and that is just a whole new mindset, which I think is going to be a real challenge for many of us to embrace as we go forward.
What's the keys to success?
Well, as I said before, we have to keep our eye on the present. Safety still has to be a primary concern. System reliability, primary concern. We can't lose sight of that, because if we get that wrong, there is no future. So certainly that near-term focus has to remain. But then at the same time, PSEG, as other utilities, we are engaging in these conversations to try to determine what we will be going forward. But obviously it's not just an internal discussion, it's also one that has to engage the externals, our regulatory agencies, the political arena. But most importantly, it has to engage the customer. We have to have some sense as to how customers want to interact with us. Or another way of saying it, what are going to be future customer needs in regards to energy use and all the things that they use energy for? We have to have those conversations, and we have to be able to, hear ultimately what our customers are saying, the voice of the customer once again, and apply that into our strategic plans.
What changes are required with your employees?
What I love about PSEG, if you ask anyone, whose responsibility is safety? Every associate will say it's my responsibility. That is embedded in our culture, and that's not going to change. That will never change. But as we go forward, I'm looking forward to the day when I ask, whose responsibility is it to satisfy the customer? Whose responsibility is it to ensure we meet the needs of our customer today and tomorrow? I look forward to the day when that same associate says, it's my responsibility. And that's kind of right now, I think, the culture change that we're going through and that we're trying to drive. We're making strides. I love the fact that I can hold up to 2015 J.D. Power trophies for best in the large East for electric business and best in the East for gas business. That's an indication, I think, that we are doing a lot of the right things to move in that direction, but we want to keep going. We want to keep going. And I think folks are getting excited about, the possibilities of truly, being customer-centric. But it's a journey. We still got a little ways to go, I think.
Talk about change.
Well, when I first came on board as VP of Customer Operations, I sent out a letter to all our associates in customer ops, and paraphrasing, I said, if you have an opportunity to do something today to make someone smile, why don't you take the opportunity to do it? And one of the things I love about public service, electric and gas, and customer operations in particular, we engage so many folks on a daily basis. Through our call centers, through our CSRs, answering the phone, our folks out in the field, our meter readers, even our collectors. We engage so many folks on a daily basis. And we have the opportunity to just take that little extra step and create an emotional response. It can be positive, it can be negative. But if we can just place enough positive emotional responses out there, and this may sound a little crazy, but we can really change the world. And I like working for a company, for a place where I have an opportunity to do that. That's why I've been here for 30 years, because I really, like and really get excited that we have an opportunity to do that. So that is my passion. I mean, being able just to positively affect the lives in a positive way of so many people, I really get a thrill out of that. And I really like working with folks who feel the same way.